cabinet picks have now cleared key committee hurdles and are heading to final confirmation votes. Tulsi Gabbard, nominee for Director of National Intelligence, and Robert Kennedy Jr., nominee for Secretary of Health and Human Services. Joining us now, Senator Martin Heinrich. He's a Democrat who serves on the Intelligence Committee, voted today against Tulsi Gabbard's nomination. Senator, thanks so much for taking the time.
Great to be here.
You voted against her, calling her, quote, a national security risk. Why?
One, there's the issue of whether she's qualified, but much more weighing on my mind than that is the issue of judgment. And if you look at some of her actions, especially her travel in the Middle East, with your background, you know that generally when we travel to places like that as members of Congress, we go with the State Department. Every meeting is carefully vetted. Yeah. That is not what this was. I mean, she was traveling with, financed at the time by a donor of another member of Congress, met with the Grand Mufti of Syria, who had threatened suicide bombers against the United States, met with Bashar al-Assad. My goodness, I can't imagine a more off-script foreign policy trip. And if that's how you roll, and you're going to be in charge of coordinating all of these intel agencies, and you don't accept the information that comes from those agencies on a regular basis, it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, she said Bashar al-Assad, Syria was not an enemy of the United States, very much contradicting the bipartisan U.S. view of the Syrian dictator. RFK Jr.'s nomination to head HAS advanced. We heard from several GOP senators today say they've been assured Kennedy is not anti-vaccine. But just before the vote, we noted Trump posted this quote: 20 years ago, autism in children was 1 in 10,000. Now it's 1 in 34. Wow, something really wrong. We need Bobby. I don't have to tell you that feeds, at least, a position that's not based on the science. Yeah. How dangerous is that for this country, given how vital vaccines are?
Look, I'm actually kind of a health food person, and so some of the things that RFK Jr. has said in the past on the front of high quality food, I can relate to. But the science of this vaccination denial is not only unscientific and irresponsible, it basically makes every mother who's got an autistic kid question everything she ever did. Yeah. It's deeply irresponsible.
Yeah. As we have the president about to speak alongside the Israeli prime minister, now earlier today, Trump said, as we reported earlier in the hour, that he would like to see the Palestinian people leave Gaza, go to Jordan and Egypt, which we should note the leaders of Jordan and Egypt said they have no interest in doing so. What would that mean to you? Does that sound to you like the forced migration of people away from their home? And is that something that American presidents should be advocating for?
I don't think it's our role to take people from land that they've inhabited and tell them what their future should be. I think our role should be trying to encourage a future for the Israelis that creates security for them, for the Palestinians that creates some sovereignty and reconstruction and a life that's not under a terrorist organization. This is a president who says outrageous things because he thinks it always will result in a deal. I'm not sure that works as well in the Middle East.
Another thing the president has been proposing, he responded to an offer from the president of El Salvador to take American citizens convicted of vital crimes and put them into what is quite a brutal prison in that country. Yeah. CNN's done a story inside there. He was saying, quote, I would do it in a heartbeat. To some, that sounds like creating penal colonies for American citizens abroad and paying other countries to do so. Is that an acceptable thing for an American leader to do?
No, but there are going to be many things that President Trump says that are outside the lines of the norms. And I think the thing that bothers me the most is that when you are willing to break the fundamentals of the Constitution, the fundamentals of law like the Impoundment Act of 1974, and say that Congress doesn't matter, and go into whether it's USAID or Treasury and start turning off the switches to individual programs, you can do that to American citizens. If you can get away with that, if you can say, I'm going to turn off this USAID program, you can say, this person is not going to get their Social Security, but this one is. and I'm gonna make sure all my supporters get their Social Security. But you other folks, sorry, you voted for the wrong candidate.
Are you surprised that some of your Republican colleagues seem so willing to give up, it seems, Congress's congressional powers, whether that be the power of the purse in terms of previously allocated funding, or the power to end departments, whether that be the Department of Education, USAID? Are you surprised that they seem willing to just cede that power to the White House?
They're not willing, they're scared. The amount of pressure that this administration has been able to put on members of Congress, and up till now, we're just not seeing a lot of profiles encouraged.
How about from the Democratic point of view? Because there are Democrats who say of their own party that it has yet to come up with a unified approach to the Trump administration. The New York Times wrote today, quote, "More than 50 interviews with Democratic leaders revealed a party that is struggling to define what it stands for, what issues to prioritize, and how to confront a Trump administration that is carrying out a right-wing agenda with head-spinning speed." Is that a fair criticism?
I think that the Democratic Party needs to find its footing. And I think one of the things that we have to do is be strategic in all of this. Our constitutional principles are being tested. There's going to be a role for the courts in that battle. There's going to be a role for Congress in that battle. And there's going to be a role for the American people. I do think we have to pick and choose our battles. And no one voted to have Elon Musk in charge of their personal data. No one voted to have him ransacking federal agencies that many of my constituents rely on for various things. That is where I think we need to really draw a contrast that, at least for my constituents, they voted for lower gas prices, they voted for cheaper eggs, they did not vote for this chaos.
Senator Martin Heinrich, we appreciate you taking the time this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Just ahead, how China is responding to President Trump's tariffs. Is the U.S. on the verge of an all-out trade war with one of its largest trading partners?